Hi there, Year 5. It's Mrs. Flavell back here again and introducing the second part of our reading episode, which is on the 100-mile-an-hour dog. Now, on reading this bit, there are parts that really had me in absolute fits of laughter. So we are in for another funny instalment of the 100-mile-an-hour dog. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
Today's success criteria is going to be to answer around about 10 questions correctly based on the text using the evidence from the text. And again, at the end, some bonus questions that you might want to think about having a go at answering. You can include these as well. Perhaps a couple of those that give your own suggestions. You might want to try and get those correct. And you're going to be reading the text to understand direct and inferred humour. That's humour that's not always made obvious. Okay, sometimes it's what we call irony, and it's a bit of a sarcastic type of humour, and there's quite a bit of this in between the family. And use a text as your evidence for your answers. Always use part of that text to support your answers. Make sure you read through for that. Okay then, the next part of our chapter. Anyway, I had a dog to walk, so I decided to take Streaker up near the golf course. She likes it up there because there are lots of rabbits that she likes to chase. Luckily, there are also lots of holes for the rabbits to disappear down. You can almost hear them laughing. Ha ha, we fooled that silly old dog. Fancy thinking she could catch us. Hee hee hee. And then they all have a party to celebrate their escape and drink carrot juice and eat carrot cake and pop carrot-shaped balloons. I put Streaker on the lead and headed up towards the footpath next to the golf course. When I say headed, I really meant that I was dragged at high speed by a desperate dog. The desperate dog being Streaker, of course. Honestly, it's like being pulled along by a Ferrari with a tow bar. Streaker does this every time we go out. It's astonishing that I've even managed to catch sight of the little posters stuck on the lampposts that passed. The poster said, "My dog has been stolen. My dog, Pooper, was stolen from outside the supermarket on Tuesday. Please contact me if you have any information. £50 reward if successful." Well, that was food for thought. What kind of person would call their dog Pooper? Even so, it's no fun having your dog stolen. You'd be pretty upset. Mind you, I couldn't imagine my dad coughing up £50 to find Streaker. Nevertheless, it was a lot of money, the sort of money you might need to pay to have your arms stuck back on your body because your dog has just pulled them off. "Streaker, why can't you just walk?" Does she listen? Of course not. She doesn't even turn around to see who's speaking. Her nose is pointing in one direction only, and the rest of her is following. I spend most of my time trying to hold on to every passing lamppost, telephone pole, bush, or front gate. Anyhow, we got up to the fields, and I led Streaker off her lead. Zhoosh! She was off like a rabbit-seeking missile. I simply stood there and watched as Streaker raced around that field, round it, crisscrossing it, until at last she spotted the rabbit. Quick! Whoop! Factor 5. Streaker's legs were a blur of speed. I almost expected to see her take off. The rabbit just sat there and watched. "You'd better move, Mr. Rabbit. Streaker's going to get you this time." Streaker was charging at full pelt towards the rabbit, and just when she was almost on top of it, the rabbit disappeared down its hole, which it had been sitting right next to the entire time. Mr. Rabbit was definitely playing hide and seek, because a moment later up he popped from another hole just a few metres away from where Streaker now had her nose buried down the first hole. I had to laugh. The rabbit was sitting right behind Streaker and watching, while Streaker kept pushing her nose uselessly into the hole. At last she noticed Mr. Rabbit, whirled around, and just as Streaker jumped, the rabbit popped back down that hole and vanished, and it began all over again. Rabbits kept popping up all over the field while Streaker dashed fruitlessly after one, then another, then another. Or perhaps they were the same rabbit. Who knows? Mr. Rabbit, probably. Okay, let's look at our questions then. Where does Trevor take Streaker for a walk? What does Streaker like to chase? What is Streaker likened to on slide 2? What is funny about the missing dog's name? Why don't you think Trevor's dad would cough up £50 to find Streaker? How does Trevor jokingly think he could use the money if he found the dog? How does Trevor try to slow down Streaker so that he can see the posters? How does he describe Streaker when he lets her off the lead? How does the rabbit get a lucky escape? What words describe Streaker is going at full speed? What is amusing about how the rabbit behaves? What does Trevor find amusing? Remember to pause this, go back, answer the questions first, and then we'll go through some answers. Today I want you to think about those full stops and capital letters when you're writing down your answers, please, because some of those that I've had back in at the moment, you're forgetting these capital letters at the beginning of your sentence and the full stops at the end. Always try and present it how you might think about presenting it in a classroom. So, where does Trevor take Streaker for a walk, and what does Streaker like to chase? So, anyway, I had a dog to walk, so I decided to take Streaker up near the golf course. There's our evidence. So, Trevor takes Streaker, capital S please, it's a name, for a walk near to the golf course. Remember, he goes near to the golf course. He can't go on the golf course, because if he goes on the golf course, he's probably going to get hit by a golf ball. So, what does Streaker like to chase? Well, he likes to go there because there are lots of rabbits that she likes to chase. So, Streaker chases rabbits, double B, and she likes to chase the rabbits. Good exercise. So, what is Streaker likened to? Well, honestly, it's like being pulled along by a Ferrari with a tow bar. Okay, so Streaker is likened to a Ferrari, double R A R I. Okay, so the tow bar obviously being the lead, towing Trevor behind. So, and the funny name of the missing dog is Pooper. Okay, obviously somebody with a sense of humour that's called this dog Pooper. I've got a suspicion in my mind who it could be from previous stories. So, why don't you think Trevor's dad would cough up £50 to find Streaker? He said, I couldn't imagine my dad coughing up £50 to find Streaker, because obviously Dad is fed up of having a dog chewing up his golf balls. Also, Streaker is difficult to walk, isn't she? So, how does Trevor jokingly think he could use the money if he found the dog? Well, you might need to pay the money after having to have your arms stuck back onto your body because your dog has just pulled them off. Okay, he amusingly says he needs the money obviously to have his arms reattached. So how does Trevor try to slow down Streaker so that he can see the posters? I spend most of my time trying to hold onto every passing lamppost, telephone pole, bush or front gate. So I've got lampposts, telephone poles, bushes, front gate. So Trevor tries to hold on to lampposts, telephone poles. Those are the big wooden ones. Okay. Bushes. And front gates. Okay, that answers the first part. So how does he describe Streaker when he lets her off the lead? Well, he describes Streaker, zhoosh, she went off like a rabbit-seeking missile. Now, in the if there are warships, they have things called heat-seeking missiles, and these are missiles that are fired from the boat that seek the heat of the thing that it is trained onto. So he's comparing it almost to like a missile, a heat-seeking missile. He's changed it round to a rabbit-seeking missile. Okay, so this is how he's describing the dog. How does the rabbit get a lucky escape? Well, Streaker is charging full pelt, I'm going to underline that because it answers the next question, towards the rabbit, and just when she was almost on top of the rabbit disappeared down its hole. So, the rabbit escapes down a hole. Okay, simply answers that one. And the word that describes Streaker is going at full speed, it is full pelt. Now, full pelt is an old English word. Well, pelt has been taken from the word tilt, and it's when knights in armour used to ride at full tilt, as they called it, as fast as they could to charge into their enemies in battle. And it's got changed over time to full pelt with the same type of meaning. So, full pelt is the word or the phrase that says that Streaker is going at full speed. So, what is amusing about how the rabbit behaves, and what does Trevor find amusing? So, Mr. Rabbit was definitely playing hide and seek, because the moment later he popped up another hole a few metres away from where Streaker was. So, the rabbit is teasing Streaker. He's playing hide and seek. So it's teasing her, it's taunting her, it's popping up behind her and then popping up in front of her and deliberately giving her a bit of the run around. So what does Trevor find amusing? In fact, that the rabbit was sitting right behind Streaker and watching. Okay, so Trevor is amused at the rabbit's cleverness and Streaker's stupidity almost. Okay, finding Streaker completely bonkers and stupid because she's not even turning round to notice that the rabbit is taunting her behind her. What would you do if you had a dog like Streaker? If you had a dog, what breed would it be and what would you call it? How do Trevor's thoughts and opinions add to the humour? Right, so what would you do if you had a dog like Streaker? Well, there's a few things. Perhaps some of people might give up and perhaps sell the dog on to somebody who could train it, might even pay to get it trained, or even perhaps even spend more time trying to train the dog, which Trevor has already tried to do in the first 100 mile an hour dog story, but obviously it still doesn't stop Streaker running around here, there and everywhere. If you had a dog, what breed would it be and what would you call it? Well, there's all sorts of shapes, sizes, breeds and colours of dogs. I think if I had a dog, I'd really love to have a pug. And if I had a pug, I would call it Don, after my dad. So how do Trevor's thoughts and opinions add to the humour? Well, it gives us an insight to what's going on inside Trevor's head. He's got this manic family and this manic dog, and some of his thoughts and opinions just add to the humour of the story. Some of them are literally funny, some of them are what we call ironic or sarcastic humour. So all these, once you get the idea of his sense of humour, the story becomes a lot more funny. Hope you've enjoyed this excerpt today, kids. Take care, and if you have a little look on the last slide, it will be me asking you how to try and send your work in.
So, remember kids, we would really like you to return your work to us somehow. We've got the WhatsApp, we have got the emails, we've got our new post box, and it is really nice to see your work coming back into us. I've enjoyed going through some of it and marking it and seeing how hard that you are really working. So please try and email it to us, try and WhatsApp it to us, or send it back to us in our post box, because we are marking it, we are making comments on it, and it might be worth a few merits when you get back into school. Take care. Bye.